giraffe, monkey, rhino, dead armadillo, another dead armadillo. The Texas Chainsaw 3D Watch-Along is brought to you by Fonz with Keys. Need a big, beautiful key for a big, beautiful door? Call Mr. Farnsworth and he'll tell you absolutely nothing that you need to know. Provided in body parts by the Sawyer Family Artisan Butchers and Barbecue Restaurant. Killed and grilled on the premises, or your face skin back. And remember, the closer to the bone, the sweeter is the meat.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Over to you, Mr. Chance.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Hello, everyone, and welcome to an Everything Sequel Watch-Along Party. Today, we are watching Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Or Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, I see both because
they dropped the 3D. They dropped the 3D,
Yeah.
during the ad campaign. Because, well, as you'll see that 3D, the 3D in this is minimal.
Okay.
Like and also it's not really the third of anything.
So can we talk about this? So
Yes.
Tom, you, oh my goodness. First of all, I've never seen this movie. And that's saying something.
Coming from you.
Yeah.
The host of the How Dare You podcast.
you suggested this movie and started explaining to me a bit about it. And
Yeah.
I was astounded, dumbfounded, and amazed. Tell our audience in the realm of this series where this movie exists.
Okay, so this is our third watch along. We're now 2 for 2 on 3 criteria for these watch alongs. The first being that we premiere it on the anniversary of the release date, which for this one is January 5th, and that's when you may be watching this for the first time. The second is that we pick something that we're never going to do on the podcast because it's a disputed sequel. It's something that you could look at as a sequel, but you also don't have to. And we also pick something that we think you might need some hand holding with to watch all the way through.
Because it will only be interesting if you have the two of us goofing around with it.
And boy, does this movie tick those boxes. Holy shit. Starting with the release date, which is, no accident, because this we're moving into January and February, which are traditionally for studios the dump months.
Yeah.
So, if a movie is released in this period, the studio thinks it's a piece of garbage.
Right. There's a high bet that it's a piece of shit.
Right. Or
and studios, you said it. Like, it's the dumping ground. This is the place where they send movies to die.
You're right, which is ironic because this movie made
unless
a
it's
lot
an
of
action
money.
movie from Liam Neeson. They seem to have found a niche for that.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he just likes to be paid at a certain time of year for tax purposes,
right?
Which is ironic because this movie was a success, financially. I know.
I'm sorry. What?
I was going through
Say that again.
I was going through Wikipedia and it just casually mentioned that this was a financial success. I was like, hold the phone. And I got to research this.
I kind of want to look that up right now. I don't believe you. How's that possible?
It doubled its budget. It won its opening day and opening weekend. And not only that, this was meant to be the final installment of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot franchise. And because of the financial success of this movie, they went ahead and made another one in 2017, Leatherface. So This actually turned the franchise around, if you can believe it. I can see you don't. This is where it's good that we make this a visual medium, because the look on Michael's face is just worth putting up with Zoom for 3 hours.
I decided to not believe you. I'm looking it up on the phone right now. A budget of $20 million. Yep. Opening weekend, 21.7.
Yeah.
Of course, it only grossed 34 million in the USA.
I think overall box office now is like 40.
Yeah, cumulatively it's 47.3. Yeah.
I mean, it's very respectable, and I'm trying to think. You know, it's kind of interesting because let's face it, putting yourself in the place of 2013, 3D, the allure of 3D is starting to fade again, as it always will, because it's just a bad idea.
Because it's just terrible.
Yeah, but you know, that's had its day. I think there's reboot fatigue at this point. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the first of the big horror reboots, and that was like 2003. Yeah. This is 10 years later.
I honestly cannot remember this movie coming out. Like, I just have, and I had well, you haven't mentioned yet. What's the unique feature of this particular movie?
The USP of Texas Chainsaw 3D is that it's the third in the remake franchise of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. However, in terms of timeline, they choose to ignore the previous two movies and instead make this a direct sequel to the original 1974 Tobe Hooper Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So,
which I guess is, not uncommon, because we have that happen with the Halloween franchise just a couple years ago.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we're dealing
only with done well.
We're dealing with you haven't seen it. Yeah,
that's true.
But for the next 20 minutes, and for the next 20 minutes, there'll be some doubt in your mind until we actually start the movie. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, this isn't, as with Star Wars Holiday Special and Star Trek The Motion Picture, which are our first two watch-alongs, this movie is more prophetic than we like to admit. Because
in terms of what? In terms
of direct sequels. So now, direct sequels are kind of de rigueur in franchise cinema right now. We've had the Terminators have done it, the Halloweens have done it, Aliens done it. So, this is like 5 years ahead of the curve in terms of what franchise cinema's doing. But it really is riding the tail end of 3D, of horror reboots.
Yeah.
So it's kind of positioned in between those two things. But one of the most unusual things timeline-wise about this is having positioned itself as a direct sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It then jumps ahead in time to a period in history that is closer to the one seen in the reboots.
Okay.
Now, when we start the film, you'll see that there are timeline questions here that we're going to have to dig into deeper, scene by scene. There are serious anachronisms here, but as far as I can tell, we're somewhere between 2000 and 2013.
That's quite a span of time.
Well, there's a it's like, if it were a kind of like guess the year.
Is anybody talking about Y2K shit?
Well, this is the thing. If I'm guessing the year from all the information that the movie gives us, from 2000 to 2013 is as close as I can get. it can't be really be before that. It can't really. Well, 2013 is when the movie was released, so it definitely can't be after that.
But and there's no reference to a date given in the movie.
Oh, there's plenty of dates, but no years. It's an interesting. yeah, you'll see. So there's lots of very strange things going on here. But in addition to ignoring the previous two movies by setting itself up as a direct sequel to the original, it's, there were three original sequels,
right,
that are being retconned here, simultaneously.
Wow.
And in the course of the movie, you'll see that a lot of the things that happen in the sequels happen here anyway. So it's kind of like a Kelvin timeline situation.
You mean right.
It's sort of you get what
so they're
happens.
Are they taking plot points or something from the original sequels?
Not intentionally.
Okay.
As far as I can tell, not intentionally, but they just do. Well, and people who are watching this can fill us in. I'm by no means a scholar in the Texas Chainsaw law, but as far as I can tell, it kind of, at least tonally, and maybe narratively, hits on a lot of the notes that the original sequels do anyway. A lot of it, as I understand, is to do with backstory, expanding the family, also shifting to a more kind of comic tone, and all those things happen here. And it's doing it in a time period that is more consonant with the reboots than the original.
Gotcha.
And yet, and I will say this again because it bears repeating, this is intended as a direct sequel to 1974's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So,
well, I'm looking online here at the director, John Lucenhop. He directed a short called Tick, Tick, Tick in 1994. He directed a movie called Lockdown in 2000, a movie called Takers in 2010.
Has every director at a certain skill level directed a movie called Lockdown?
Right. I had to look it up because what was the one with Stallone?
That was Lock Up.
That's Lock Up, right?
I only know that because I tried to do a lockdown based, like a COVID lockdown meme, and I looked online under the same assumption that movie was called Lockdown, where in fact it was called Lock Up.
Well, so he directed this movie Takers in 2010 and then directed Texas Chainsaw in 2013 and nothing since.
Well, I want to say the direction is the least of this film's problems.
Okay.
No, that's not fair. I say I think the people who are in charge of the practical effects are the only redeemable people working on this movie.
Oh, okay.
The execution.
I thought you were going to go the other direction.
Yeah, I don't know how. No, there are some big mistakes in direction too. Big mistakes. So yeah, it's interesting. So what I like about it is a lot of contradictions here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a dump month release, but it made money. It looks forward to a kind of movie making that was ahead of its time, and yet it's behind its time in virtually every other aspect. And it asks questions of the big questions here for us going forward on the Everything Sequel podcast about what do we do with direct sequels?
So I was just thinking about this
problems.
because you said we would never do this movie on the podcast.
Right.
But conceivably we could. If you count it as is it a single sequel, or is this 2017 movie Leatherface?
No.
Is that part of this story?
This is a true outlier. It burnt its bridges from what came before, and what came after burnt their bridges with it. Nobody picked up the thread of this.
Okay.
And
so it's a single sequel. So if we did single sequels from 2013, maybe we would do it.
But it's also like, well, what are we going to do with Terminator Dark Fate and Alien Covenant and the new Halloweens? What are we going to do with those? Because
they're all sequels.
Don't you get all equal opportunities on me now? After we didn't do Superman Returns.
That's true.
Because or Supergirl. It's an interesting one because, first of all, what are we going to do when a franchise reboots, like does a pure reboot where it's remaking from the beginning?
Well, the other problem is because there are clearly things that are reboots or remakes, but that turn, like The Thing. Was it 2013 they did a thing? And
the Thing did a thing?
Yeah, they did The Thing, a thing. They did a thing with a thing in, I think, 2013, and you think that it's a remake, but it's not. It's a prequel.
Oh, we've already encountered a backdoor prequel in Final Destination 5.
Right. So but that's a total outlier because there hasn't been a lot of The Thing movies. That's the only one, this remake that actually was a prequel.
Uh-huh.
So is that a single sequel, or do you count it as a remake?
Yeah, but also, so we've got that problem. Let's add to that. What direct sequels also add to the pot is that they want to erase the history between
the original and everything that happened
until
that movie came out. Right.
They're asking you to judge them as the follow-up.
Right.
So what do you do with that? Do you see it on a par? Do you see this on a par with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2? Or do you make distinctions between those two because this one has to like retcon
everything that happened after the first one.
Nearly a half a century of entertainment to get to that point.
Right.
Well,
and I guess the hard part is, granted, I have not seen this movie yet, but the hard part is I would look more favorably towards, say, the Halloween reboot with the idea of it being a sequel, even though it's a direct sequel to the original, because I liked that movie.
Well, yeah, I mean,
right.
But if you open that door, you can't close it.
I can't close it, exactly. And then this is a sequel.
And and I don't know.
I have never heard of this.
I have never heard of this Thing movie that you're talking about. I'm not convinced it's not a dream, but we got to do that.
Right. Well, and also, there's no getting around the idea that this is a sequel. Even if it's in name only, this movie, it is declaring itself as a sequel to the original.
Oh, you don't know what you just said. you don't know how right you are, sir.
Oh shit.
Yeah, this is
So you haven't heard of I think it's 2011. 2013. I think it's 2011. The Thing.
And
Our old friend from Final Destination 3 is in that movie. Mary Elizabeth Winstead. You don't remember?
She is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah,
Joel
well,
Edgerton.
she's sequel royalty. Maybe we should just watch that movie in a kind of a series based solely around her.
There you go.
Right. So, but it's these are interesting and difficult questions, and I wanted to defer to you as the host of the How Dare You podcast. And you're the ombudsman of good and bad. I that's how I see you.
Hey, thanks.
That's how I look up to you in this world.
I'll wear that moniker.
What does dump month do to thinking about good or bad when you're looking at a film? Does that matter at all? Does it matter? Or does the fact that the studio are aware that they're releasing a piece of garbage, does that factor into good and bad decisions?
I think it gives, I think it gives you context.
Yeah.
But at the same time, on the How Dare You podcast, we recently just dropped as a bonus episode Black Christmas.
Yeah,
which was made just last year.
I
don't know that it was a dumping ground movie. I think they tried to actually release it around Christmas, but.
And that was what year was that?
Just last year, 2019.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And that's a remake of a remake of a remake. They had just remade that movie in 2006.
But this is the other question: is I just don't know. I don't know where we are in. Well, clearly with the Thing example that I've never heard before. I've never heard of before. I don't know where we are in any of the big franchises anymore, timeline-wise. I don't think they know either. But
taking a look at this movie, or this series, I am shocked how much this series has been in our life since 1974. I mean, we were talking even before we started recording that I'd seen the remake, the 2003 with Jessica Biel, which also had a sequel, correct?
Yeah. This is the sequel to that. In release terms. This is
right.
This is the third.
You almost just broke my brain. God damn it.
Well, let me also say that this is the 7th Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie overall as well.
Right.
So,
I mean,
and then do you want that last vein in your head to pop?
Oh,
Leatherface is a prequel.
Oh, for fuck's sake! God damn.
What came after it is a origin story.
Oh,
I mean, I started reading the synopsis to Leatherface, and I apologize if this is a good movie that I'm trashing, but I got as far as reading. We start with Leatherface as a mentally competent adult. I was like, I'm out. Never seen that movie ever.
I fucking quit.
If there's one thing I want and demand from a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie is that Leatherface is a fucking maniac.
It's a maniac with a goddamn chainsaw.
But there lies one of the biggest problems.
It kind of reminds me of the Rob Zombie remake of Halloween, where they spend 40 minutes showing this kid killing pets because serial killers experiment with pets. I don't care about any of this. Michael Myers becomes a more supernatural, he's just pure evil incarnate. I don't need to see your backstory about serial killers. Get the fuck out of that movie.
Be prepared to say variations of that again and again throughout this movie.
Let's get to it. I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm excited.
But did we answer the good or bad question? You said so dump month gives it context, but it doesn't sway you one way or the other, right?
As to whether or not these are sequels or
good or bad.
Or good or bad.
We'll never get to the bottom of whether this is a sequel or not. Basically, it's like
I mean, look, there are.
Does it matter to anyone but us? I mean, that's the thing. It's like, if it doesn't matter to anyone but us, then
I think
whatever.
the general movie going audience also knows that January and February are a dump month, but at the same time, there's always exceptions that prove the rule. Silence of the Lambs was, came out on Valentine's Day.
But that, I mean, that's the other.
And that movie,
yeah,
won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Writing for a movie that came out in February, which is really uncommon. But again, it's the exception that proves the rule.
But this is a January. This was released, I mean, technically January 4th at midnight, but we're gonna do January 5th. Mm-hmm. Let's have some.
Once you hit midnight, you're on the next day.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is so close to Christmas. It's so close to Christmas and New Year.
Right.
As if to say, there is literally no one. I mean, it's weird to say this in the time of COVID, but there is no one going out. Like between
right.
January 1st and January 5th is like, it's the dead time in restaurants, and every kind of leisure activity is just at a standstill at this time.
Yeah.
So not only is this a dump month release, this is in the bottom of the trash heap.
Yeah, right.
They're releasing it at a time, but I mean, it paid off because there's no competition. Clearly,
sure,
it
right.
Made that much money. So.
Yeah. Well, and I find it interesting. I literally don't know enough about this movie, but it seems to me that people, because they said Texas Chainsaw 3D, I'm assuming that maybe a lot of movie-going audiences thought that this was the third movie in the second incarnation, right?
Well, it is. I mean, in abstract, it is, but it wants you.
I don't know how it sold itself. I don't know if
previews. Well, it dropped this, as we alluded to. It dropped the 3D at some point in the promotional campaign. So obviously that wasn't enough of a kind of marquee to hang it on. I'm with you. I don't know, people going in didn't get you and me talking like this for 40 minutes beforehand. And you really need this. Talk about hand holding. You really need to know this before going in. So
there's because I was astounded when you first told me that there's a Texas Chainsaw 3D that's a direct sequel to the 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I just was dumbfounded. And
I think so. Yeah, I think like you, people will be going in expecting some kind of continuation of the whatever happened in the last one. And that's the weird thing, they kind of do, because we jump forward in time long enough that we're dealing with exactly the same we're dealing with the same generation of.
So essentially, are we dealing with a movie that could be a sequel to the 1974 and the 2003? Is that what we're dealing with?
Yeah, it's almost a complete cycle.
Okay.
If the characters from the 2003 reboot pass by in a car, I would not bat an eye. You know what I mean? Like, it could conceivably just be two Texas Chainsaw Massacre towns that are going on at the same time, that have never like come into contact with each other. I would not be surprised if that's how. There's a post-credit scene in this, and that's what I was expecting. That's not what we got, but that's what I was expecting.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait any longer. We got to watch this.
Okay,
are we ready?
Yeah, let me do my quotable.
So first, ladies and gentlemen, you can find this movie on either Hulu or Prime, Amazon Prime. So find it, and we've got it paused on the logo churning right now, and we're going to get started in a moment. Go ahead,
On
Tom. Hit us
the,
with your
oh,
quotable.
so let me just say that this was there's a lot of bad dialogue in here. So this was a long short list of quotables, but
All
I
right.
eventually settled on the one that I had to go back and check on subtitles because I couldn't believe it was said. And I thought, if I'm doing that, this is the one to pick.
All right,
Okay?
hit me.
Jesus Christ, what is this? It's a haven? Now, do you want to know what what I thought he said?
Please, yes.
I didn't think he said haven. He's because at the point that this happens, he's walking past like a pelvic bone hanging from a wall.
Okay.
Which is made me think, it's like, why would you call that a haven? I thought he was saying, is that a hymen? And part of the reason, right, apart from the fact that, you know, I'm fucked up in the head or whatever.
Just fucking hanging bones.
Part of the
like
fact that, you know,
hymen to me.
I'm a moron who hears all kinds of weird things. Apart from that, one of the reason why I thought it was a worse word than haven is that early in the movie, someone calls a door a C word. A door. Not a person, not a thing, a door.
Fantastic.
I see you next Tuesday. I don't like using that. I don't know why I draw the line at that word.
Yeah, like he just says what? It's like a cunt of a door.
Well,
you know what? Let's wait.
No, you've done it. I'll do it. He says, yeah, he says he calls a door an old cunt. So that's why I thought this in this other instance, there's this police officer was calling what he was referring to as a haven, a hymen.
Great.
So I bet you can't wait to see this movie.
This is I'm just beside myself with anticipation. With anticipation.
Oh yeah, okay.
All right, everybody, get ready. Are you ready, Tom?
I think so.
Let's count it down for everyone. All right, everybody, we're going to start this movie in 3, 2, 1, go.
You should be seeing cogs right now.
Yeah, the churning logo.
And this is the best CGI in the movie, by the way.
Congratulations, Lionsgate. You've done it again.
You've won the CGI battle of Texas Chainsaw 3D. And then this logo that I always think is Film 4, but is actually a very cheap company called Millennium Films.
Oh, no.
Can you tell me what happened?
I mean, already I'm concerned about the idea of this being a direct sequel because that first movie is so grainy. Oh, damn.
Yeah, we're watching footage from the original movie at this point. And this is my first imbas. It must be a sequel. We're watching a lengthy recap of the original movie in a sequel.
I think what's going, like, we got that. Oh. Yeah.
We're getting all the greatest hits from Texas Chainsaw Massacre here.
That's going to leave a mark. What's with this fuzzy black thing we got going around the outside of this frame?
It's either the dream fog either represents the haze of memory, or we're seeing this from the point of view of a partially sighted person.
You know what we're seeing? You know what we're seeing it through? We're seeing it through the vision of Newman, who gets spit on by the Dilophosaurus in Jurassic Park.
I'm so in awe of that analogy. I can't tell you.
Deep cut.
Special appearance by Gunnar Hansen. Yep. We're watching him play Leatherface right now.
Right.
God, there's so many bad things about this. Like you say, it's not grainy enough for it to be from the original movie.
Yeah.
And also, they're making new shots from the images, like the reflection of Leatherface in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that from the original movie.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
So that's quite a, I mean, to suggest that Toby Hooper didn't frame the shot correctly is pretty ballsy.
Oh man.
Did you see that the debut that this movie contains the debut of Tremaine Trey's Songs Johnson?
No.
Absolutely seamless transition into modern
Yeah,
day.
right. I was just gonna say.
As long as there's no essential differences between 1974 and 2013 filmmaking.
So we're doing a Halloween pickup right where we left off.
It's actually, it turns out to be a day later.
Okay.
But I thought watching this that it was like hours later. It's actually a whole day later.
I'll say this. Considering this is made in 2013, I'm okay with the look of it.
Well, they're leaning in a little to the kind of 70s thing, but
yeah,
not nearly enough.
Not nearly enough, but
and not Yaphet Kotto isn't helping. No one's turning up.
No one's what?
No one's turning a blind eye to this, which implies the police know and they've just been letting them eat people.
Yeah, that man is not Yaphet Kotto.
And the guy who came out with the gun, that is Bill Moseley, who was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Just to confuse things. Playing a different character. And that's Gunnar Hansen, the Duck Dynasty looking guy. That's Leatherface.
Wait, who is?
The one with he'll talk in a minute. The guy with the cap and the big beard. Not the other guy who really looks like he's from Duck Dynasty. The one who kind of looks like he's in Duck Dynasty. Yeah, he's talking now. That's Leatherface. The OG Leatherface.
Wow.
Who has already played Leatherface in the first few minutes of this movie. Because that's all we've seen. So I think
Is somebody gonna help me with the woman who broke my window?
You let that bitch meat get away.
Bitch meat? Did I hear that right?
Yeah. How was that not my quotable?
Who the fuck is this cowboy?
Oh, here we go. Well, I think it's funny that inside the house they've added to their ranks with the cast of Duck Dynasty, and now other people from Duck Dynasty are coming to kill them.
I gotta tell you, Texas is a strange state.
Hey, these guys aren't even from Texas, as far as I can make out. They came from another state to burn some cannibals. So you're probably already getting the sense that the Sawyer family are not the bad guys anymore.
Wow, yeah, holy vigilante justice.
I mean, they're treated like they're the victims of the Waco siege. That granddad's gone down.
Yeah,
Also, Granddad's looking like kind of pretty lively for someone who was just reanimated by the taste of blood.
Were those victory screams I was hearing?
Yeah. Well, see,
that was like after a battle in Braveheart.
This is where I have trouble. Like, this is on you, but
this is on you. What do you like? Arrest all of them. They're murderers. What are you?
Well, yeah, but it's implying that it's a sad day for justice when a family of mutant serial killer cannibals gets an iota of the suffering that they caused other people.
Yeah.
This guy, Sheriff Hooper, the not Yaphet Kotto guy, also called Hooper, as in Toby.
Yeah.
Is a
total nod
enabler,
there, right?
He's a cannibal enabler. So they found the chainsaw, but not.
We're gonna be heroes. I still don't understand why they're not all in cuffs.
Because it's like vigilante justice runs this town.
That doesn't seem right.
It's also funny that they make no attempt to disguise like how 2010 hillbilly, the look of these.
Right. Oh, I didn't like that. Who was that woman?
She's one of the family, and she's the one with the baby. So now they've saved the baby.
I'm trying to remember.
I don't think she has I don't think she's in the original.
Okay.
A day later, it seems that the family is now 3 times as big as when we last saw it.
Yeah, right.
So they saved the baby. Like, why am I supposed to? Like, that's the one thing that
I got it for you, Arlene. Oh, well, now we're bringing back something from the original, aren't we?
The flashbulb.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing is like the end of Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Had no idea we were still in a cold open.
Oh, there you go. 3D.
There's your first of 3 3D effects in the movie. And no one's thought of a better idea than credits flying towards the screen.
Right.
And there you go. There's my second impasse. 2 cold opens.
Right.
Which is something that only happens in sequels.
Seemed like the director must have said, I'd like you to pose with your chest out while you talk.
This woman is not a character. She's basically a medium of sex in this movie.
Just cheat out. Just cheat out to the camera.
Speaking of subtlety, notice how she's come from cutting meat and is now standing in front of meat.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on my Halloween costume, and I don't mean scary. And here's a physically violent black man. One of only 2 in the movie.
Come on, he's just working out.
So, believe it or not, that is not the first racial stereotype you will see associated with this character.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That is Trey Songz, the rapper.
I can't say I know him.
Do you know the song Ladies in the Drinks? Ladies in the Drinks? Do you know that one?
No.
Okay. Well, you'll hear it later on in this movie.
Okay. That's why he accepted the role.
So he's a rapper, and this is his debut as an actor. they're listening to Eminem, which is actually pretty good timeline-wise, because I think this movie should be set in exactly the year 2000.
Okay.
And so it would be okay to be listening to Eminem at that time. Although it is a remix of Eminem, which suggests that it's after 2002. Well, this song came out in 2002 that they're listening to, but whatever.
Yeah, I can't hear it very well. It sounded like the rap from Addams Family to me. Too legit to quit.
You know what? If MC Hammer was playing, that would be more historically accurate than what we're hearing now. So she's in she's drawing in charcoal.
Holy shit, for the briefest of moments I thought that was Gene Hackman.
He's like, I'm lost. I thought I retired. They just started filming me in my chair.
I can't let Welcome to Mooseport be my last movie.
No, wait, yes, I can.
Yeah.
So these are the adopted parents. So that girl is
the baby grown up?
Right. How grown up? I cannot tell you because... Okay, so the Eminem song makes this 2002. The actress playing Heather, the grown-up baby, is 27 in real life. So unless
but she's probably not playing her own age.
So you think she's playing younger, but that would make it the 90s.
Holy moly.
I mean, they're doing their best to portray that family as like her adopted family as awful. But let's not forget, they saved her from being raised as a cannibal killer.
True. Now, what happened there? Because did she find out that she's adopted or what?
No, she she found out that her grandmother has died, but it's her biological grandmother.
I see.
Who is not a Sawyer, but is connected to the Sawyers.
Okay.
Oh,
isn't that sweet?
Supportive group of fans, which makes a nice change from the original with a camper van full of people who fucking hate
each other.
However, I hate to tell you, but this is all an illusion.
Oh, no, say it isn't so. Look at that. Vanagon.
Yeah. Listening to what is clearly post-2010 rap music in what, if she is not in her late 30s, is 2000. At best guess. That music only works if she is 40 years old.
Isn't it nice when you can all just steal from each other? What was that? That was a man we just hit.
A very ripped man.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Now, I think it says a lot both about how this franchise and horror in general has changed, that this is now the hitchhiker. This fucking, like, male model.
Right.
In an open shirt. You remember what the hitchhiker in the original looked like?
Oh, yes.
It was like a fucking bird person.
Yeah.
With a giant scar on his face. This guy's
wasn't
like
wasn't that guy
ass double.
Wasn't that guy as an actor always trying to, like, I don't know, up his credit for that movie? He was, I think he keeps going to like signings and stuff saying, you know, this was my idea or something like that. There's some weird shit with that guy.
Cutting his own face was his own idea.
I don't know. How bad could he be? He's handsome.
Listen to this song, Michael. Listen to this song. God will fuck you up.
Oh,
I don't know if the songwriters or the filmmakers know how fucking funny that is, but that is funny.
Holy shit, that's fucking genius.
A song called God Will Fuck You Up.
God will fuck you up.
Again, I don't know what the levels of irony or intent are there, but I'm glad it's in the movie.
So did you know that the vigilantes came from somewhere else because that family lived somewhere else?
Yeah.
Is that how you piece that together?
Yeah, they came from out of state.
I
don't know how they found out within a day.
Family's family.
Everyone has to be unsuspectingly eating meat in this movie. Like jerky.
Or cutting it.
Yeah. Welcome to Newt.
Newt. It's no Nilbog, I'll tell you that much.
I'd rather be a Nilbog. In a way, I admire how deadpan this movie is about Nikki being there totally only for sex.
I almost half expected the newcomer to say, "You have mighty nice tits, ma'am."
He's the only one acting bashful. Everyone else is like, that's what she's here for, to take her top off.
Yeah.
Dead armadillo!
Hey!
That's worn well since 1973. Because if it isn't the same armadillo, then it's another imbas. Because
there you go.
That's a big coincidence. The two times we've been to this town cinematically, there's been two dead armadillos. There's got to be something behind those gates that clearly lead to a house.
They clearly lead to a home, right? What the fuck? Like a castle.
She should have.
I wanted that conversation to continue. Maybe there's a moat. Maybe we'll find dragons.
They should have just turned to her. She's just looked at her and she should have said, "What? I'm only a pair of tits in these movies."
Right.
Here he is, Mr. Farnsworth of Farnsworth Keys.
I'm Heather Midriff.
Now, I wouldn't trust Mr. Farnsworth because he lied about Richard Kimball escaping in The Fugitive. And not only is he the same actor, he is once again carrying a set of keys.
Yep. I don't think he made it.
There's a lot of talk about being able to see this house or not. Look at that giant key.
Look at that key. Is that the day that everything burned to the ground?
Yeah. So in a way so the famous date, that was it. Like I looked up that date and all I got was August 18th. Now he very clearly says you should read that letter, right?
Yes.
Do you think she reads that letter?
Oh, no. Is this a situation in which only if she had?
I don't know if actually it would have made that much difference, but I'm lost.
Yeah.
I don't know how that burnt down family kept
I'd like it if that
tabs on
letter
you for the last
I'd like it if
20
that letter
to 30
said
years.
I'd like it if that letter said there's a crazy man in the house wearing a face of human skin with a chainsaw, and he's gonna murder you the second you walk in.
You're pretty much dead on. I can't believe you guessed the contents of that letter. So yeah, August 18th is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like it's a very famous date in horror. August 19th is just the date that stuff happened in this movie.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's the date you have to remember.
Is this the house? Did they just rebuild?
No.
Okay. Fine.
It's like a sequel inversion. It's like I guess you're expecting it to be a shithole. It's a mansion. You're expecting a creepy dinner table. It's a beautiful dinner table. They have wooden shutters.
It's not filled with green desserts, so that's a positive.
You really have Troll 2 on the brain.
I do. I wonder how many times I can get that in here.
Well, as long as none of them piss on hospitality, we're okay.
What'd you say about my rack?
She's just like a one-woman sexual objectification generator.
I know, right? I half expect one of these characters to say, let's all take turns fucking her titties.
Once again, you have anticipated a future scene of this movie.
Oh, no.
No, this is a scene where I kind of think,
is the family buried here?
Yeah, minimally that's what this scene is about, but it goes on so long and it draws on the names as if these names are supposed to have any significance. And maybe if you know the finer points of Texas Chainsaw Massacre lore, they do. Otherwise, just a scene of someone looking at graves.
Right.
Drayton is dead. I'm pretty sure.
A lot of Sawyers, though, so you get that.
Well, some of them are Carsons.
Carson.
So Carson, I think, is the rich family that married into the Sawyers, is the best I can figure out, which is why.
Oh, that looks like a recent grave. What's going on there? Is that grandma?
So I think the woman that we saw was a Carson with the baby who'd married into the Sawyers.
Mm. Thank you, Grandma. I never knew.
Well, you think they would just do one headstone since the date is the same for all of them. Just one massive headstone with August 19th.
Like, yeah, it's 20 feet across.
So I feel like there's something to unpack there that I didn't get. Or maybe not.
Wait, they're just going to let the stranger stay in the house?
Yep.
Okay. Wow.
You're right to be suspicious. Yeah. Don't watch him do. Yeah. Don't watch him as you go away either.
Whoa.
And he's
up to
straight
no
in there.
good quickly.
How did any of these people get so far in their lives by trusting complete strangers with their new mansion?
Oh no.
Yeah. So
Where's
the
the
hitchhiker,
trust?
Chris Pine's ass double is gonna steal all that stuff.
Well, with that big brass key, I thought Leatherface was, locked up in a dungeon, and he knew the lore and was
Stop
gonna.
predicting the movie, Michael. You're ruining it for yourself. Stop predicting the movie.
Ah, that's great.
Everything you think about what is gonna happen is gonna happen.
I keep thinking of the most ridiculous things. What's that say?
You're gonna ruin it for the people watching for the first time.
Oh my god.
I was worried about doing that. You're doing it. You're not even trying to.
Where's your mama?
Where's your mama? The keys. This gets worse. Can't wait for that to come back.
Wow.
There's a carnival going on. Yeah. The successful black man in the movie is a cheater.
Oh no.
And physically violent.
See, when the
and
pool
he's taking advantage of white women.
You want to hear something funny? When the pool thing, when they started playing pool,
yeah,
I almost said, why does it seem like these two are fucking?
That is one thing I do like about this movie, that they're presented as like idealized friendship group, and then like everyone is presented
Not
up
so
front
much.
as the idealized
look at him
versions
finding
of
passageways. Yeah, that's the good silverware.
Yeah, Secret Kitchen. That was the original title for this movie, The Secret Kitchen. So he's already said, "Who's your mama?" to a set of keys.
Uh-oh. Has he just been living on mice?
Do you hear him just call that door a cunt?
Oh, I missed it.
He said, "I got your stature now, you old cunt."
Oh, I think he's talking about grandma.
Okay. Still gratuitous.
Not sure if that's better. Oh, shit.
I like that he has a smoothie with his meal.
Right. You have no concern about a meal left out on a tray, like for a fucking prisoner?
Eaten like an animal would eat one?
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if that smoothie is like the fat smoothie from that episode of Friends. Why is he personifying everything?
Everything. Wow.
Stop talking to inanimate objects, you fucking idiot. Hello, Mr. Corkscrew.
Boom.
Now, when I first saw Leatherface in that outfit, that light, I immediately
we have another handsome blonde man.
I immediately thought Gerard Depardieu. You know who that is, right? Who does that imagine 1960s what 1960s TV actor would that look like?
The sheriff?
Yeah. Well, the deputy, yeah.
Deputy, whatever. Oh, is he supposed to be Dean?
That's Scott Eastwood.
Ah.
Looking inauspiciously exactly like his father.
Oh my gosh, that on that angle he looked very Clint.
I also love that extra who just walked in from the grocery store was not camera ready, and he arrived in the scene too soon. You remember him? Remember him?
The mayor? Did he say the mayor?
Yeah.
The murderer is a mayor?
They turned the guy who burnt down the house into the mayor. Yeah.
Okay.
Bert Hartman. He's got like a mental Google alert for anything to do with the Sawyers or the Carsons. Like wherever he is in the town, he just goes,
right.
Sawyer, Carson.
Hope I don't have to burn you down to the ground.
So I assume they all came from out of state, and
he was like, trying to get her number. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Don't worry, he's dead.
No, he didn't play that smooth. He was exactly what he seemed to be, a suspiciously nice hitchhiker.
Right. Happiness and cheating on your girlfriend.
Right. More meat. This is it. It says Ladies and the Drinks by Trey Songz. That by him. He's listening to his own song while he plays.
There you go.
While looking at ladies and having drinks. He's listening to his own song called The Ladies and the Drinks. You know what year that song was released in?
Of course not.
2012. That's why I don't know if this is 2000 or 2013. I mean, because you should be listening to Eminem, Outkast, Ghostface Killer, Ludacris. These are all like the big rap names, but he's listening to a future version of himself on the radio.
What is happening? Did she have the... I can't tell because she's standing in front of the picture. Did the picture have a tattoo?
Birthmark.
Or birthmark, rather?
Yeah. Do people have passed down birthmarks inherited? Is that something this movie made up?
Is that a thing? I've got the same birthmark.
We're going to have to do like a Q&A session after this.
Oh, man. There's a murder pantry in here.
I can't hear you. I'm listening to The Ladies and the Drinks by Trey Songz, which came out in 2012, 10 years after this movie may or may not take place.
So does the letter explain how grandma was able to get this murderous beast of a man into the pantry?
If by explain you mean saying that with no follow-up, yes.
Oh, gosh. This guy's got to die next. He's the one we know the least about.
Kenny? Yep. You hit the nail on the head there, which is what's about to happen to him.
Pretty soon the mallet's going to hit the head.
Oh, horror movie banter.
If you find yourself in the basement of a house that's all spooky looking, calling out names, just fucking leave.
The big downfall of these kids is that they call out when they're in danger.
Ah! I knew that was coming.
There's Gerard.
Oh!
Just come from the set of Germinal.
Go cut. What we're going to do now is we're going to slam cut to the loud music. Nobody's going to hear his screaming.
It's too good a track. You get into it.
Her boobs, right?
Stop it! Stop ruining the movie. Yeah, of course it's a bait and switch, yeah. And I'm sorry if you're reviewing this and we ruined that for you, but watch more movies.
If you didn't see it coming, that's your fault.
Watch more horror movies. Da 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 da. Ladies in the drinks. Ladies in the
drinks. Crying out loud.
For crying in a cup. Yeah. Yep, it is fucked up. Everything you do.
I mean, we are being assholes to our best friends and girlfriend.
Everything you have done to women is fucked up.
Granny left her clothes.
She sure did. It's not all she left. She also left her birthday suit. Is it ever explained how this family are able to survive death? Like the grandpa from the original is dead until he tastes blood.
Right.
Question mark?
Question mark? Who was that? Oh, shit.
Leatherface Mask has gone from French clown to smeared in poop in the last 20 to 30 years for no reason. Flashbulb.
Oh, flashbulb.
Flashbulb.
You just can't do it as well as Toby Hooper.
Especially when you're showing things that look like they're from the movie Hostel.
Yeah. I mean, the opening credit scene of the original is really memorable. It sticks out in my mind because it's done so well.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the rest of the movie, as I remember it, right? Who was that guy? Who was that guy? The burnt guy. Oh, anyway.
I don't remember.
It's a good it's a great opening, yeah.
She's lost her hearing.
He just looks so French in that shirt, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's like a French artisan butcher.
Maybe your friends could help you, but they're fucking out in the barn.
I don't like the growling.
No, yeah, makes me uncomfortable.
He's like, it's like very Frankenstein's monster.
It's good to know he's still got his murder hooks.
Because he doesn't. Does he make noise in?
Oh, graphic.
Some good Greg Nicotero work there.
Yeah.
He never lets the side down. Just
I
everyone.
never should have taken the time to cut that guy in half. She got away.
Yeah, but he's a. Steps. This movie has something against steps.
She's too thin to be flying down steps like that.
Two people have already been thwarted by Steps. I think Steps did something bad to the director. And look at how daintily he just like sachets down the steps. This Leatherface is very dainty. Oh, fucking hell. Clear the fence, love.
You're not gonna make the Olympic team doing that shit.
I love how they pick someone with like, she's very lanky.
Mm-hmm.
Look, okay, here we go. This is great.
Is she gonna hide in a grave?
Yeah, she's gonna hide in a grave. That makes total sense if you let a hitchhiker stay alone in your mansion. See how daintily he climbed that fence?
Have you ever seen Summer School?
No.
With Mark Harmon? There's two characters who love the original. And at the end, when he's twirling around with the chainsaw, they're like, yeah, do the dance.
Here, it literally is a dance.
Yeah.
It also, do you know what this scene reminds me of? That Geico commercial that makes fun of slashers.
Yeah, totally. Why don't we hide in the coffin?
That's the one. I actually, when I was watching this before, I missed the.
There's 3D.
3D. There's your second of three 3D moments. We call it 3D not just because it's 3 dimensions, because there's only 3 in the movie.
We should investigate naked.
It looks like some antebellum slave drama with him coming like bare-chested out of the barn with her.
Oh, we shouldn't have said hey 5 times, I'll tell you that much.
There have been some dumb kids in slasher movies, but calling out to the killer is beyond. Hey, we're over here. Merde. I cannot get in the barn. Uses that chainsaw for everything. He must have adapted it to cut through like other surfaces, right?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Welcome to Texas, motherfucker, is a cool line. However, she is not from Texas, and he was born here.
Yeah, right. Also, if you missed him, you just helped his cause.
You just blew a hole in the door for him to unlock the gate.
I'm sorry, were you two fucking in the barn? Ah!
It's like an infomercial for a chainsaw.
This is it, right? Out the front gate, roll credits.
Well, but unlike the filmmakers, you haven't thought through the implications of how you get through a mechanical gate.
Ah.
He's like, give it time to open.
Well, that was unwise. Oh, no.
So what she's saying is, stop the van, wait for it to open and go through, okay? That's the dilemma here. They didn't give enough time for the gate to open.
Wow. Oh, we're good and fucked now.
Wait for the gate to open. And now the car's dead.
Oh no.
Of course. Don't cut off your own leg like you did last time.
Yeah, right. That wasn't a bad shot. I kind of like that.
Yeah. There's some good stuff here. I think I stick with my earlier prescription of the direction as mixed. There's some good moments.
Oh no.
Trey Songz is dead. He will live on through his music that we will hear later.
Throw his corpse out the back. Let him.
And we'll see his head again.
Of course we will. What do you mean, what happened?
Well, that's a good question. She went from fucking to having a Gerard Depardieu taste chaser with a chainsaw. Of course she has questions. Leatherface is like, I learned that move when I accidentally chainsawed myself in the leg.
When I kill, I'm extra careful now.
There is that feeling. He does seem way more accomplished, shall we say? And he's wearing an apron too, which I love. He really is every bit the artisan butcher. Even though I'm from here too. You country fuck.
I mean, this movie's like half over, right? This is like the halfway point.
It's exactly halfway through, yeah. What could come next?
We got another 45 minutes of chase.
What haven't we called? What's one thing we haven't called back to yet? That's a good
circus. The circus.
Carnival.
Carnival.
So there's a carnival here?
House of Horrors. Now, is that... I have questions. about the pig.
You're talking about the pig
out.
with the chainsaw, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's either a massive coincidence or he's doing like a tribute to
what happened in 1974, right?
But I don't understand why he has a pig mask on. There's Deputy Eastwood.
Yep.
Deputy Eastwood. I think Nightmare on Elm Street 2 taught us that
this is not going to be a smart decision in the end.
Well, it taught us that, slashers and big, bright party scenes with lots of people do not mix. It really does diminish the threat when there's lots of people and police and lots of space. So the fucking saw, I've clocked very quickly that that's your weapon.
3D.
There you go. There's your three 3Ds.
And that's it?
There might be one more, but that's pretty much it. Yeah. I'd need to see it in 3D to know to know for sure whether or not it looks like garbage. Right now it looks like garbage.
Well, and probably all that the chainsaws going through the windows.
Yeah.
That was probably all 3D.
And that meat being cut.
Right.
Did you think, like I did, that he was cutting off his own finger when he was... I mean, it doesn't make sense, but visually it looked like he was cutting off his own finger.
No, it looked like he was holding a hand.
Okay, okay.
Is that the same sheriff?
No.
Just minus an afro?
Yeah, you mean not Yaphet Kotto? Yeah.
Okay.
Now he's not Scatman Crothers.
Turns out, Mr. Mayor, you didn't burn everybody to the ground.
This is... Oh, it's a big tub of peanut butter on that table in the break room. Did you see it?
No.
There's like a jar, like a Costco-sized peanut butter jar on the
I'm currently wondering why they didn't take her to a hospital.
Gotta separate those hogs.
What is going on in this town? Did he just say that he's going to be a sack of meat something by the end of the day? So the plan is just to murder the guy? Do I have that right?
Well, Sheriff Scatman Crothers doesn't want that to happen because he's a cannibal lover, basically. Now, don't tell me that man has aged 30 years since we last saw him.
He lost his hair.
Yeah, minus an afro, he looks exactly the same.
Oh, now he's clued in? Some maniac was running all over the streets with a face
nobody
stitched
told
together from dead people and a chainsaw, and only now when he hears about what house she was at that he thinks,
And bear in mind, this was the first officer called to the scene in 1973 on August 19th. Right? And yet no one has briefed him.
Probably just enough time for a maniac to get in here.
I wonder if there's evidence in that box on the table. If only we had a way to know what was in there. Like a big red stamp that says evidence. Why 6'5"? Like, if it was 1 inch either way, would they be like, well, it can't be him then?
Hey, wait a second.
Oh, he's 6'4"?
That guy was 6'4". Oh, man.
Doesn't even make you chainsaw proof, as Leatherface found out in 1973.
He proved.
How come they just put a box full of sensitive evidence out on the break room table with nobody, when only a member of the public is there?
Usually it's a fake out. They put if you're guilty of a crime, they put a lot of fake stuff, stacks of stuff to make you think they got a lot of evidence against you.
These are pictures from Night of the Living Dead. This is not Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Well, if this is not an imbas, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Character looking at photographs from the original, often in a newspaper. I love how they're showing specific words to tell us what happened when we already saw what
When
happened.
we seen the movie.
This applies to the two people who came in at like minute 10.
Right. This guy's an idiot. Why, even as the mayor, I don't think you have the authority. He certainly didn't have the authority in 1974, and yet he's still roaming around like he's the king shit decision maker of this town.
Now, when he gets this phone out, this is when I can no longer suspend disbelief that this is 2000.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
No, we're 2013.
Yeah, I looked up what a 2000 cell phone looked like, and they were still flip phones.
Yeah.
But that would make Heather 40 years old. If this is in 2013. Even 2010.
Easy, Tom. She'd only be 39.
Well, say, yes, it's even worse because it was 73. The movie was 74, but it was set in 73. Yes, it was brutal slaughter. Thank you. Burned, yes. Burned. Death, yes. Family, yes. All those things. Ex-massacred.
Ex-massacre? Christmas massacre?
I'd love it if she just said, ex-massacred? That's not even a word.
Oh, let's show us what you've already shown us once.
With like a glow on it that's like, well, why didn't you film it that way in the first place? Because that looks more like the original movie than the scene you actually fucking showed.
What kind of idiot says, give me a visual? Let me give you a reason to be distracted from looking for a murderer so that I can see what's going on. I'm starting to rethink my choices. I'd like to leave the house and wait for backup. Push it open.
That's a special at the Sawyer Family Artisan Butchers and Barbecue Restaurant, the Finger Bowl. It's blood. See, it's been blood the whole time.
It's all blood.
It's a breadcrumb trail of blood.
Thank you. Finally, some common sense. Go fuck yourself, Mr. Mayor.
I like how he said, I have a bad feeling about this. Like, what after he is already in the house. It's like, why not at the beginning of the breadcrumb trail of blood would you say that? I cannot literally believe how long she is left alone with this evidence box.
With this, with this box of this goodie bag of.
I'd love it if that armadillo was like manning reception at that police station. It was just like a dead armadillo. And that explains why she's been allowed to look through evidence for so long.
Stupid shit town sheriff's office, can you hold? Stupid shit town sheriff's office, can you hold? This is the stupid shit town sheriff's office. How can I help you?
I don't understand what you're saying. I'm an armadillo.
Still following the blood. You're right, though. I think it's funny. It's like when he got to a fifth room covered in blood, he thought, this is a bit too much.
There he is. I'm getting a bad feeling about this. God, I thought he'd already said it. He doesn't even say it until then. Toilet rat.
The place where you turn around and go back. That's where.
This is it. I thought he was saying that's a hymen.
Oh, no. Don't put your gun down. Get your shit together.
Well, he's trying to get better light for them. He doesn't want to block the shot. I think this saying what's happening out loud is helping the audience more than it's helping the people in the movie.
Yeah.
Still going through the
Still
evidence
going through
file.
an awful lot of evidence.
Oh, you see that? That's the 19. So they've actively changed the year so you don't figure out that it can't make historic sense. They blacked out the 73. They redacted it. I didn't notice that.
Child not found. Assumed dead. Come on, the lawyer said he always knew where she was.
And he had a key. Is that Trey Songz? Ladies in the drinks. Ladies in the drinks.
Oh, I love that song. Wow.
He should have just like turned to camera and gone, this is fucking cool. Thank you, Greg Nicotero, for saving our shit house of a movie.
Is it going to be him?
He was already in 3 years into Walking Dead when this started.
Oh, no.
He Night of the Living Dead her. Deaded her.
It's okay, they said.
Bert was like, hey, don't worry about it. We shoot people in
Hey, shit happens.
I don't know if they're intending this, but he's called Marvin, and he just shot her in the face.
He said, we got to... Uh-oh. Oh, no. Yeah.
It's like, I didn't like that crack about ladies' makeup. It's anybody's makeup. That's what I would have killed him for.
Right. You know, I'll say this, that whole sequence, they were building up some not bad tension.
Yeah.
But then when he walked up the stairs, I immediately knew that moment was going to, that Leatherface would be there.
But also he was looking backwards.
But did you catch their line earlier? He said, we're going to burn that house to the ground. We're going to finish what we started, 30 years ago or whatever he said.
Did he say
said,
30?
I don't know. Oh, did he give a year?
Well, even if
but
it's
then
30...
the sheriff said, not this time, not on my watch. It was your watch last time.
And it's also not a bad thing. I'm sorry. I don't get why anyone has a dilemma about trying to kill Leatherface. I think it's objectively the right thing to do.
Did you read the letter?
When somebody tells me everyone I met today died except me, my first response isn't, where are you?
Right.
Farnsworth is playing it cool. I love that actor. He's in Office Space too. He's great.
No, he's great.
Richard Riel is his name, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, there you go. The slamming of the door.
That's a thing.
Wow.
This is
Oh, look at that shaking foot.
Oh, that's good. I didn't notice that. Well, the mother was 20.
Did you see that?
What?
Look at him. I mean, he
Oh,
just
the
looks like
licking?
he wants it. Oh, I'm telling you, getting skin off the face, it's so difficult.
Well, what I like about this scene is that it's obviously there for the people who were wondering about Leatherface's technique.
Yeah.
Like they were like, but how does he take the skin off and then remold it into a mask? Oh, it was
Oh,
all part of a plan.
one down, one down, a mayor and a sheriff to go.
So he was there. I don't like knowing that he has a goatee beard.
Yeah.
Why did they need that shot? I don't want to know that he looks vaguely like me when I haven't shaved.
I'm seeing similarities in the hairdos, Tom.
Definitely. I noticed that the other day.
He just put that through his own mouth?
Yeah. My question is, does he do this every time?
Right.
And he must do.
Hey,
Maybe...
wait a second. I didn't see a knot on the end of that.
So I has to keep doing it because it keeps...
So you're just going to pull it all the way through, yeah.
They're way too proud of this massacre in this town.
Yeah, right?
They've got a chainsaw up on the bar in a town known for a chainsaw massacre. I got to give it to Farnsworth there. He did say read the letter, and she didn't read the letter.
Well,
Farnsworth is so casual. I love it.
She was nodding her head at him as though she was listening to an interesting lecture in her history class at university.
A history class at university that she went to 15 years ago, maybe, when she before she was in her early 40s.
Yeah.
There's far too much like arguing for keeping Leatherface alive.
Yeah.
In this town. There's a person in what looks like a Leatherface mask at the jukebox. So I think it is that, like, you know, like the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. This is like, this is what the town is known for. Must be. Which sort of explains the pig boy.
I'm getting you out of here.
And another kind of great understatement. Farnsworth says, frankly, he scared the shit out of me. Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
You would. And if he did...
Also to your... Oh, hey.
Oh.
To your point about they're making too many excuses for Leatherface.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Daddy. Because he said, you know, the last time this happened, when he didn't kill a little girl, his whole family got burned down. He doesn't know any better.
I'm sure this is all explained in 2017's Leatherface as to why we should give a shit about Leatherface. Unfortunately, I will never see that movie.
Why I don't understand what's happening. Why does the mayor want to kill her?
Because she's a Sawyer. That's it.
And that's all.
Yeah, he wants to kill the family line, I guess.
That makes no sense. That's pure insanity.
Keep trusting people you barely know.
Just keep trusting the law.
Keep trusting guys who kind of look a little bit like Chris Pine, and you'll be fine. Hey, that even rhymes.
Uh-oh.
He's Clint Eastwood from High Plains Drifter, not Clint Eastwood from The Bridges of Madison County.
No, there's no Madison County going on there with that look.
I think it was very evident that they were father and son when we first saw them together. Right? I just assumed they were. Because that acting's that good. I'd love it if he just picked up the walkie-talkie and went.
I think I'd like it better if he picked it up and was like, "Hello, this is Leatherface. Who is this?" Oh, do you think he only had one chainsaw? Hell no.
I'd love it if like he can only say the word chainsaw, so he just went chainsaw, chainsaw, chainsaw,
Chainsaw, chainsaw, chainsaw.
For some weird fucking reason, we're the two heroes in this movie now.
All right, come with me.
These fucking enablers.
Right? Look, so we got low jack technology. I don't know where that puts us in our question of the timeline, because I don't know when LoJack was created, but it's a point of reference for research.
So why did they even keep it fuzzy? Why didn't they even just change it to 1984 and then this could all be okay?
Yeah, I don't know.
But they just 19 smudge on the photostat.
Oh, all of a sudden she did turn crazy.
Well, this is the thing. This is actually kind of a through line in the movie, because when we first see her, she's cutting meat. She's making art with charcoal and bones. Now she says, "I'm a sawyer." So this is a big win for the nature versus nurture argument. It's like she's predestined to be like...
Is she going to join forces with Leatherface?
Stop predicting the movie! It's almost as if you're a screenwriter.
Oh no.
For fuck's sake. Yeah, well,
this movie's gonna go to 11 right now.
And I mean, you know, I appreciate that. One of the things I do, well, two of the things I like about this movie, they do good bait and switches. Although, you know, it also relies on the naivety of the characters a lot, but still. And also, you know, it's a good classic sequel inversion. The villains of the original movie are now the heroes of this movie. But it just doesn't make moral sense.
No, right.
They're fucking cannibal serial killers.
Did you see that walk? He's got new Leatherface swagger.
Also at the carnival, he did like a little two-step.
Yeah.
He's actually, he's a beautiful mover.
He did a little two-step when he peeled off that face too.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Hopefully he's going to remove that tape so she can explain that she's a Sawyer.
Well, I mean, what haven't we called back to yet? That's another way to think about this. If only she had some kind of mark that would identify
that identifier. and that was the sole purpose of unbuttoning her shirt.
Well, you know, sole purpose with privileges.
Oh, 3D. Wait a second.
Those,
She's going to think he just wants to look at her boob.
I was going to say, now that Nikki's dead, she has to take up the sexual objectification burden in this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that the darkness in his eye holes cleared up at just the right time for him to see that birthmark. It's me, the person you've never met.
Oh.
He's wearing a tie. Do you see that?
Yeah.
He's got a tie on.
You know, for fancy murders.
He's the best dressed slasher. There's no question. Not in a boiler suit. He's, you know, he wears a tie and a shirt and an apron. Real pair of pants.
It did not seem to me that he was able to get through the second rope and release her.
The other problem,
I'm surprised the director let her button up.
Yeah. The other problem with him stopping the chainsaw at that exact moment is that it fucks up one of a handful of 3D shots in the movie.
Right.
Yeah. So we don't actually get to see it go in. So she's escaped. The hillbillies are doing what she needs to do to Leatherface for her. Where is the dilemma? Now they're suddenly the rapist from Deliverance.
Yeah, right?
They're like every bad hillbilly in every movie ever.
There's no escaping that. That's gonna leave a permanent mark.
So presumably Heather's thinking, I can't let him die like that. I mean, he wears people's skin as a mask, but this being ground up like that in what will be a quick death.
That's right, Daddy. She's got a good murderous stare going on there.
Do you think that's her father?
Isn't that the adoptive father?
No!
It wasn't?
It's not. You've been calling him daddy for the entire movie. He's not the daddy. He's just some... I mean, the big problem with this movie is all the hillbillies, no matter what side of the moral, you know, whatever this is, moral dilemma, all look the same. Remember me? Because I was a baby and I have no memory.
Do your thing, cuz.
I love that the coolest lines in this movie are the ones that make least sense. Like, do your thing, cuz, that I only just found out about, and I only just found out you're my cousin.
It's a battle between evil and evil.
And we're supposed to sympathize with the evil one.
Yeah.
The one who is actually more evil than the other guy. Everyone in this movie is motivated to keep Leatherface alive with dilemmas I do not understand. Don't shoot him. He's an innocent man.
Don't shoot him.
Question mark. To both innocent and man.
Oh.
That's what you deserve, you moral means to an end.
Oh, now you put your gun down?
If I was God or Jesus, I'd be like, don't put my name on any of this. I'm not taking a side here.
He's going to walk away from this scene?
I'm just throwing Texas into the sea and being done with it.
You did kill my friends, though, so push him in.
This is why I can't get my head around it. You can play all the sympathetic music you want. This man does not deserve a reprieve.
No.
Let's just turn the chainsaw off and go and have a nice cup of tea.
Let's go back home, honey. I want you to clean this mess up. Is she going to be taking over Grandma's job?
For what is hopefully the final time, stop predicting the movie. Look, it's like a scene straight out of a Norman Rockwell painting.
I'm telling you. Honey, why did you stitch it through your own cheek?
What exactly is she cleaning there?
Yeah, right.
He's already got a mask of human skin. It's not going to get any better with a J-cloth.
Oh.
You can put as many crash chords in as you want. He's just a grumpy man now.
Right.
He's just like the giant in like the selfish giant is basically all he is now. Go to my room. You all suck. Nobody understands me. And that's Marilyn Burns from...
Including the maniac downstairs.
That's the OG TCM Scream Queen. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, not Turner Classic Movies. Recast as one of the family she was a victim of. With the emphasis on blood.
Family Bound. I'll fix you some supper.
I mean, yeah. Now, don't chainsaw anyone while I'm away.
Yeah. And it appears the sheriff's just okay with this?
Yeah. Oh, he's more than okay with it. It solved a problem for him.
Where's the son? Where's Eastwood?
Yeah. We never see him die, right? Maybe they were gonna
it was just him and the guy I mistook for her adoptive dad.
With good reason, in that he looks exactly the same. Well, okay. There's a reason why I know that's not her dad. And not just because he was coming on to her. Now, this is the most kind of slasher the movie looks, these credits. The music is the least slasher-friendly music I've ever heard. And this is a cannibal-themed emo anthem. Oh, says to the bone, sweet as the meat. I really like how these credits look, though. Even though, they're showing us what we've just seen.
Already seen.
Yeah, we've not forgotten what happened minutes ago. This is for the person who walked in at minute 120. all audience.
You're giving the movie too much credit. It's at minute 90. Full of rage.
Can you write a song that's kind of cannibal meat themed? I have just the thing. Been waiting for 10 years for someone to ask me.
I mean, he killed a deputy, and the sheriff is still, I'm going to let you two go.
You're still hung up on that? That guy... I don't get it. I just don't understand why everyone is pro Sawyer. Now he's talking about flossing.
And you said there's a post-credit scene, right?
There is, yeah. This is not it, by the way. I know what a post-credit scene is.
Okay.
This guy's singing about flossing human meat out of his teeth. The only person who can do that with authenticity is Ozzy Osbourne.
That was quite something.
Yeah. That's the last imbas, actually, because we've just recapped the movie that we've just seen, which is something that sequels do. And having recapped at the beginning of the movie, the
original movie.
The movie from 1974 that...
The front credits re-show the first movie, and the post credits show you the movie you just saw.
Yeah, I think best
3D
case
main and end title sequence by Identity Studios. Write it down, people. That's who you go to. If you need 5 shots of 3D.
The best case scenario for this movie is that every movie between the original and this one is destroyed in a nuclear holocaust, and people just think that this is the sequel. That's the best case scenario for this movie.
Doctor 2, Dancing on Top of the World. That must be in reference to his little hiccup steps.
That's
I thought I was a stud, closer to the bone.
That's Lionel Richie's follow-up to Dancing on the Ceiling, Dancing on the Top of the World. Twisted Chainsaw Properties.
You heard me.
It's the smallest credits I've ever seen. Here we go.
See, I mean, that guy looks exactly like that other guy. Come on.
No, you got to admit, that's a nice comic button to end the movie with.
Yeah, absolutely.
I kind of wish more. I'm in two camps. I kind of think either more of the movie should be like that, or that shouldn't be in the movie. Right? Just go either, because that's like something from what I've seen of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, that this is replacing. That's like a scene from that, because that's pure comedy. That is as broad comedy as you'll get in a horror movie.
Right.
So I like that they do that instead of a final scare, because let's face it, if they did a final scare, they'd fuck it up. That's
Agreed.
The flavor I'm getting from this movie. Is that this movie is not capable of a good final scare.
Yeah, oh man.
So I'm glad they went with that. But what thoughts, perspectives, having predicted the movie in its entirety as you were watching it
every step of the way? I guess that doesn't bode well for it, especially since every time I was posing as a question, this isn't what's going to happen, is it?
Yeah, it wasn't like, I bet this is going to happen. It was very much, this can't possibly happen, can it?
And sometimes I was saying it just clearly as the most ridiculous, as a joke, as like, this is the most ridiculous thing that could happen next.
Yeah, which takes
followed
me back
by your being upset that I'm telling you exactly what's going to happen next.
I was just thinking of the people watching it, but like I said, you know, if you can't see it coming, you need to watch more movies.
Oh man.
Specifically,
yeah, I mean,
bad movies. Take the heat off us once in a while.
Yeah, do us a favor. This movie is a ridiculous mess, but I think I think I kind of still enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought after I heard your the How Dare You podcast on Black Christmas, when I saw this movie, I was
you listened to it?
Yeah, I was like, seriously, Mike could go either way on this. I can see him making an impassioned defense.
Oh, yeah, right.
But I mean, as you pointed out, I mean, I haven't seen that Black Christmas, but it seems to me to be, you know, a very much a feminist film.
Yeah.
So you can always hang on to that, regardless of what you think about the movie. And like, I'm glad this movie is in the world. It's
the thing I found interesting about that movie, but yeah.
So what has this movie got that makes it worth existing?
I think what it's got going for it is it's the sheer audacity of what it's purports to be. Yeah, it's ballsy.
It is not like, it's not a backdoor direct sequel.
No, yeah.
It's a slam the front door in your face direct sequel.
Yeah, and to boldly declare that everything you've seen since the original movie is wiped clean for this.
Yep.
That's what kind of makes this movie magical to me.
And for the future to say, no, thank you.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I mean, this stands completely alone now.
Right.
I mean, my perspective is this is very evidently bad from idea to script.
Yeah.
Like it's a bad idea. It's a bad script.
It's poorly executed.
Well, sometimes it's poorly executed, and I mean, like, I don't know how much of it is the Nicotero sheen. You know, I mean, this is the guy working at the highest level of prosthetics and gore, and at this point, you know, he's 3 years into Walking Dead, so
I'll give you that
peak. But beyond that, and you're right, you know, there's some nice directorial moments. There's some nice shots.
Yeah, there's a couple of moments where I go, that was a nice shot. I like that.
But I think my biggest problem is, you know, in the so bad it's good territory.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't vouch for the irony and intent of what I'm seeing.
Sure,
like,
right.
I'm finding it funny. This sounds like it could be a satire of bad horror movie dialogue. However, I'm not sure if it's just not bad horror movie dialogue.
Yeah, no.
And likewise with all the lazy tropes, you know, the racial, sexual, all that stuff. It's like sometimes it's so delivered so deadpan. I'm almost leaning towards they know that the purpose of this character is simply to be a sex object.
Yeah.
and they're telling rather than like, I mean, she never strips to like sexy music or anything. It's always like,
No.
here's my tits, now they're gone. Here's my tits, now they're gone. So, and part of me is just like, it's like almost kind of fatigue with that device, almost.
Yeah.
Almost.
And do you think, because you never see full naked women, right? Like one's always in a bra and the other one has the shirt covering.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like conscious choice from the director of, we're not going to objectify women in this movie? Is that what's going on? Does he think
we're just going to call Adora a cunt?
Yeah.
I think there's something in that. I mean, you know, they're kind of, to me, I don't think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre as one of the more puritanical of the slashers. Certainly not compared to like Halloween or...
Right.
I don't feel like anyone's being directly punished for transgressions in the ways that they do in other slashers. But in this movie, I definitely... It's, you know, it's like these, you know, this friend cheated on her... This woman cheated on her best friend with her boyfriend,
which also never comes up. That's never revealed your central character.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, that's a weird thing because that would give Heather more of a justification to be like, fuck them, I'm living with Leatherface.
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact that she never knows that for sure is a strange oversight, because in a movie where people are doing things without moral justification, she has already made one that she never takes advantage of.
She never even has the opportunity.
Right.
She doesn't find out the, you know,
so we're asked to accept that she is basing her decision on the perception of her friends as still good people who are in her corner.
Yeah, exactly.
Which again goes to this idea that, and I think this is what her paint, you know, like making art with bones is all about. Like, she has no choice. This is like family bound. I mean, it's an argument for you. It's a phrase,
by the way.
It's an argument to eugenics, basically. It's what the movie's arguing for.
It leans towards witchcraft and wizardry, you know, sorcery. Which actually was a point of the Black Christmas episode as well. But just that turn of phrase, family bound, makes it sound as though she and Leatherface have no choice.
Yeah, that's the way it's presented.
Yeah.
It's like when she tries to stab him, she tries to stab Deputy Eastwood through the little screen with the kitchen knife.
Yes.
It's like
maniacally.
She says, "I'm a Sawyer." And at that point, yeah, I'm and I was really hoping that was a bait and switch, but it's not. It's not. She really is turning into a Sawyer.
What about Deputy Eastwood? The sheriff just watched his dad go through the shredder, leaves Leatherface and his now new surrogate mommy to their own devices. Wouldn't he have to assume? Doesn't he have to go murder that young deputy?
Well, maybe that's what, you know, Texas Chainsaw Forever was going to be.
4D.
Texas Chainsaw Forever is what I would have called it, as we know. As well we know, I would call it that.
Oh, we know. Make no mistake.
So it's got good and bad elements, but overall, are you willing to call it a good movie?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Can't.
I think that's how I feel as well. It's like very obviously bad with a few interesting
I can revel in a lot of its shittiness, yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad I saw it.
Yeah.
And I given what you said about how...
I'm surprised I was as interested in it as I was, you know, because it's just batshit crazy.
But you're right, there is an audacity with that is almost admirable.
Yeah, yeah.
Like to reframe some of Toby Hooper's shots in that opening recap sequence and sort of
Uh-huh.
say, but if you'd have done it like this, it would have been better. I mean,
Yeah.
that's coming out of the gate saying, we can improve on your vision.
Look at us.
And I think, you know, having seen the movie twice now, I am sort of getting the feeling that I would rather think of it as like an alternate timeline, and just review it as a direct sequel, like as the second part, because.
Well, I mean, this is what the movie is, so you don't. Yeah, I mean, you don't have.
Except it, but then why do that time jump?
That's the weirdest thing in the world to me about this movie. This you know, it was funny because before we started watching it, I had asked you, so there's no date in this movie?
I didn't notice that the first time around, but they smudge the one
one thing
that will tell you what the date is.
And I kind of want to go back now and try and see, like, I don't know if I just made up that line in my head where he said how many years ago. we're gonna fix what we didn't, you know, for some reason 30 years stuck out in my mind, but
I think it's got to be,
but that would make this
2004.
And does that line up with, it doesn't line up with the music and the technology, right?
So, oh no, God no, but well, that's it. I mean, how far are you willing to suspend disbelief before you say this timeline doesn't make sense? I mean, it's like so, but I feel like you should have just given it a new date, right? Because
that's the most baffling thing about this movie to me is I don't know when it takes place.
The big problem is August 18th, 1973 is famously attached to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, it's a big part of the movie that it happened on this day. So I think that's a bit of a problem here, because this movie is trying to tell you that the more important date is August 19th of we don't know what year.
Right.
Which was the next day. But it's not 1973 necessarily, because we have smartphones with cameras.
Yeah.
And Trey Songz, Ladies in the Drinks. So it's yeah, but it's strange to think that this movie is, if it does take place, say somewhere 5 to 10 years before 2013, that the movie is supposing that this rap song that came out, what'd you say, 2012? 2012, yeah. Just actually came out sooner. Like, it was a song created in 2004 or 5. That's strange. It's perfectly possible that in the making of this movie, someone accidentally added up the years wrong. And was
That's a big miss. That's a.
You think? I've seen what I mean. This happens a lot, especially in horror movies. Have you ever tried to work out the Friday the 13th timeline or the Halloween timeline?
No, but what I'm saying is, if you say, you know, that whatever the difference between 18th, 19th, but it's like 73, and now we're 2013. I mean, that's you can count. That's a clear 40 years. So for someone to then turn to somebody else and say, so we'll make the woman, she's like, what, 25? You know what I mean? Like, that just doesn't make sense.
The thing is, there's little bits of this make sense in their own pocket, but when you put it together, it's impossible to countenance. So I was surprised to learn that the actress plays Heather was 27. I thought she was younger than that. She is 27, so that would make sense that it's 27 years. So when he says 30 years, that's kind of right. But still, like, you know, I've just burnt so many houses, I don't know whether it's 27, 30.
It's hard to say.
I've cut the legs off so many cannibals. It's hard to keep track. So that'd be like, all right, that still works, but just when you see that smartphone, it's like you can't. And also the people we see the here's the big problem in the movie is having that
just one.
I think that timeline wise, the biggest problem
Okay.
in this movie is having that one scene that link before the time jump that is like from this movie, but is a day after the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it all gets fucked up. If you omit that, you can sort of pretend what you want. I think.
Interesting.
Because then you presented characters at a certain age and they don't look 30 years older when you next see them.
Yeah.
I mean, conservatively, they look 10 years older, maybe.
Right.
But if you don't have that scene, I think it solves a lot of problems.
Well, and you know, speaking of problems,
because then that burning could have been any time. It could have just been like, okay, enough's enough. I mean, he even says we've looked the other way too many times now. Come on.
Well, and that's the thing. It was such a leap of logic to me that this mayor says, "Oh yeah, we got to kill that girl. She's a Sawyer." Meanwhile, she has no frame of reference for the Sawyers. If they had just left her alone, she'd have been on board for killing Leatherface.
Yeah. Here's what you do. Here's how you solve this problem. It's actually very easy. I don't know why anyone didn't think of it. You don't have the original footage that begins the movie.
Go on.
You're already on board. You don't have that footage. You start with that scene of them burning down. You just say, this girl says you butchered her whole family. That could be any of the many times that they've killed whole families.
Mm-hmm.
You keep the date smudged, and then you go 30 years from that. And then you got plausible deniability. It's like, we didn't say it was that one day.
So you're saying it could have been...
It was an August 19th on a totally different year.
On a totally different... Okay.
That's why this family is so much bigger than the last time we saw them.
No, right. Their numbers grew.
So I feel like that they're just over-egging the pudding of like, oh, we got to smudge the date if anyone asks this question. It's like, well, no, you need to cover yourself by doing things in the film.
By just thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember talking about that at length for Vertical Limit.
The timeline?
Not the timeline, but characters making stupid choices. Bill Paxton trying to convince a professional mountain climber that we should keep going to the top of K2, even though a storm's heading towards you.
Yeah.
And when we were doing that podcast, I said, just say that the storm is moving away from you, but that it could head towards you at any moment. If it's moving away, you keep going up the hill. Easy fix.
It's an easy fix. I think there are a lot of easy fixes here that aren't taken, but I guess the only argument against that, which I'm sure somebody made on set, which is that you can't leech off the original movie then in the way that this movie does. But then why? I mean, they do things that are clearly reboot things, like recasting actors from the original
right,
in like an alternate universe role. So Leatherface is now the guy who tells them to give Leatherface to the cops.
Yeah.
Marilyn Burns is now Grandma Carson, who's Leatherface's protector. Bill Moseley, who was in Bill Moseley, who played a totally different character in also a Sawyer in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, is now playing the dad of the family. Right? That's a thing you do in reboots, like calling the sheriff Hooper.
Yeah.
That's the thing you don't need to reference a movie when you're in the same exact universe.
And when you're in, right.
This is not an alternate universe. This is
not an alternate universe. You're making a direct sequel. Yeah.
And it's the next day. It's crazy. I mean, we've talked before about like, Karate Kid 2 started picking up seconds picking up in the showers after the tournament,
Right. Yeah.
and then jumping. Was it like a year, 6 months?
6 months.
Not enough, but you know, there should have been more of a time jump in that to catch up with Ralph Macchio's puberty. But
well, the problem too is the real problem is not so much the second movie, but the third movie. They're getting off the plane from Okinawa, and it's been 5 years since
we will never agree on this.
Yeah.
We will never. That is not the biggest problem. 2 is the problem. So it's weird. Like you feel like you're gifted. If you were gonna be as upfront about this being a direct sequel, why wouldn't you make it a period piece? I mean, it could be like just 10 years later. That's still
right.
the mid 80s, you know?
Yeah.
What do we sort of lose by it being like, well, I guess you'd be 10 years old, so no. It has to be at least 20. It has to be at least 20.
Yeah.
Which is what I originally thought it was. So my notes for the movie for the first half are like, it's the 80s, it's the 90s, it's 2000, it's 2013. Present day.
Oh no, we've got a fucking camera phone.
Yeah, my original guess was mid 80s.
That's funny.
But then I always thought Texas Chainsaw Massacre was set in. That's the weird thing. Like in my head, it's a movie from the 80s, which it absolutely isn't.
Right.
Like 74, even. That's like Godfather 2. That's nowhere near the 80s. That is bang in the middle of the 70s.
Yeah.
So it's weird that I don't know, maybe the person making this movie was just like, when's Texas Chainsaw set? 80s? Right? It's a slash. It's a slasher. It must be the 80s.
It's like they did no research.
Yeah. Around about the time that Elm Street came out. Perfect. So
yeah, it's like they supplanted 74 for 84.
Then that it's still problems, but that tracks pretty much.
Yeah, it's as though they thought that it took place in 84.
That still doesn't account why the people in that town don't age, but still, where that would just about work. Wow, that's hard.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing, right? The mayor. God damn it! Now I'm pissed off all over again.
We like put the lid on that box, and what the mayor?
Just I mean, he looks 5 days older than he was when he burnt that house down.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And I know black don't crack, but it there's some crack.
Right. Yeah. Come on.
But also, your afro just doesn't fall off.
Right.
It's like he just went whoop.
It was another. Well, it's
or
not
it was
like
attached
it's
to
not
his
like
hat.
he did that. It's that he did that. Yeah.
So it's. I mean, I don't know if that's what the movie. Well, obviously they're concerned about the timeline, or they wouldn't have smudged the date like they did on the newspaper. But I don't know if the makers of this movie would consider that a distraction. Like if the John Lussenhop were like, you were at a dinner party with him and he's like, what did you think of the movie? And you'd be like, I'd be like, God, that timeline was crazy. And he'd be like, no, you're missing the point. That's not what the movie's about. Or whether he'd be like, you got it, huh? You got it, yeah. Time is meaningless. Yeah, you got it. Like, I don't know which way you'd go.
I think there's a third option where he says, what problems with timeline? What?
And he just goes, 1980, carry the wand.
Oh, fuck.
We're out by 10 years, guys. I gotta stop this movie being released. I don't know why John Lussenhop is like a 1930s movie producer.
Yeah, what's going on here?
We gotta get that movie.
Let me see here now. See?
Pull the reels.
Oh, what a delight.
I
had a good time.
I had a very, very good time, yeah. So, yeah, going forward, I don't think we'll do this again, but we should certainly talk about it when we do the Texas Chainsaw movies, because
yeah,
it wants so badly to be in there.
it may come up again. We'll see.
Also, I mean, we didn't talk much about 3D, but I mean, we did Jaws 3D, which equally has this kind of like we're both canon and not feel to it. So it's interesting that this is, which weirdly this this feels the least like a Texas Chainsaw movie of all the ones I've seen. Like it feels the one that, but it actually relies the heaviest on
the original
movie
source,
than any of them. I mean, as far as I understand, every single one of the sequels that came before and after this are trying to distinguish themselves from that movie, like saying, "Oh, you can't reproduce that. Let's do something totally different." This one is still saying that, but it begins with the original movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, I look forward to arguing about it
again
at a later date. Anything else before we go?
I don't think so. No.
Me either. This was fun.
It was fun, and again,
worthy.
You know, I feel one of the things that this podcast does for me, it removes my choice.
Right.
So, like when I found out, I was like, we need a dump month film that's not quite a sequel, and it's hard to watch. And this, you know, it kind of jumped out at the screen.
Oh, it fit that bill.
But would I sit down and watch this without this context? No.
But under that criteria,
you didn't even know it existed. I didn't really know it existed.
Under the criteria you just described, it fit like Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman suit.
Yeah. So thank you.
Just keeping it all sequel.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But where do we put Batman Forever? The story for another day. I'm John Loosenhop.
We'll be there. We'll someday, friend. All right. Well, for Tom Stewart from Lonesome Whistle Productions, I am Michael Shantz from the How Dare You Awards. Thank you. I'm keep looking at my microphone. I'll look at you.
We've talked about this. This is the Larry King effect. I'm going to call this the Larry King effect. You have to he thinks he's still on radio. He doesn't know he's in a visual medium.
I'm on television.
He doesn't know. What do you think? Larry King just doesn't know that he's on TV. He thinks he's still on the radio.
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, thank you one and all for joining us, and stick with us because we'll have something else next month, right?
Yeah, and
I don't know what, but
and it's another dump month, so it'll be another piece of garbage.
So it'll be hot. It'll be a hot.
But
mess
now the
sure.
standards of garbage are pretty high.
Yeah, right.
This is elite garbage. This is artisan garbage.
Yeah, we've hit 3 solid ones.
This is like the garbage that John Candy cooks up in Uncle Buck, which always looked pretty good to me.
All right, say goodbye, Tom.
Do your thing, cuz.
Do your thing.